Hey guys, my name is Nicole Courson and I'm super excited to help you learn some more about preschool crafts. And so each day there's a foundation for the kids to know, and day one is Foundation of Love. And it comes from the story of Jesus choosing Matthew to be his disciple, coming from Matthew 9. And Matthew was a tax collector, and Jesus chose Matthew to be his disciple, even though Matthew cheated people out of money all the time. And the kids are going to learn that particular day, for their point for the day, is that Jesus chooses to love me, which is super exciting because I'm so thankful that Jesus chooses to love me every single day. And so with our preschool crafts, everything is super simple. And I found all of these different items around the church. And so you won't have to look very far, probably, to find the items that you need for all of our crafts. So we'll get started. So our first one, it's the template. I practiced on it over here, but it's a template of a road that comes in the back of your book, the crafts book that you get. And so what it says to do is to find a little truck. You could have a bulldozer, a crane, a huge dump truck, whatever you find around your place to be able to use it. And what you're going to use is a marker or a crayon. You're going to tape it onto the back, and you're just going to drive it. And the kids will drive it all around, because remember, this is 3-year-old, 4-year-old, kindergarten, nothing crazy. And this is called free art, so it's not stressful. It's not like they have to be super crafty to be able to do it. We're just drawing all over our paper. Super simple. So moving on with day one, we have our construction puppet. And these little pieces that are attached with him come out of your book as well. It's a template that you can use for that. Or you can use construction paper and make your own vest and hard hat and even a tool belt if you wanted to. Just whatever you have around and whatever cost efficient for you. And so we have our lunch paper sack. And I just drew on a face and colored in our stuff. And I think it's really easy for the kids, especially if you don't have a lot of time. Like, I know personally for our church, we don't have a specific amount of time for our pre-K students to do their crafts. And we actually do ours at night, so our time is really short. And so for them to be able to color something in and color something on it and be able to keep it to take home every day is really exciting for them. And it's really easy for all of our 3 to kindergarten, so that they can do it quickly and it's cute, and mom and dad can keep it for as long as they want to. So day 2 is on the foundation of forgiveness, and our story comes from Acts 26, and it's about the story where Paul met Jesus on the road to Damascus, and he listened and obeyed. And their point for that day is Jesus loves me no matter what, which we're super grateful for because we all sin and we all know that we fall short. And so we're so grateful for Jesus's grace and mercy and how he meets us where we are. And so this is our fork painting. You use plastic forks, and they can just dip it into paint that comes on these plates, or you can find your own way of putting paint out. And it's super easy because they can just dab the fork onto their construction paper or even white paper, whatever that looks like. And it's just really cool because Jesus shone a bright light toward Saul to get his attention on the road to Damascus. And so this is supposed to remind us how bright Jesus' light is to get us to be with him. So our next one is talking about that bright light that Jesus gave to Paul, on the road to Damascus. And so what you do with this is just a plain piece of white paper. You fold it in half, and they color it with a highlighter on the front, and this is a template also in the back of your book, this man, you color it black, and so it looks just like this. Fold it in, fold it out. Oh. Fold it in, fold it out. And so then you get your flashlight, and it's your shadow. It's a pretty cute idea. So So it shows the bright light that Jesus did for us. So Paul also had to follow the instructions of Jesus to be able to do what he was asked, which meant that he had to go where Jesus told him to go. So he followed the instructions. And so for us, we were able to make a tool belt. And everyone had to follow the instructions to be able to create this tool belt. And they had to, this is a template also in the back of the book. And this is just some construction paper that we got to put together. And so they color their tools and they get to wear them all night long. And it's a really cute idea for preschoolers to be wearing these all night long and get to show them off to everyone else because they're the only ones that get to do them. So it's a really cool way to show them that they have to follow instructions. Pretty. So day 3 is talking about our foundation of worth, and it comes out of Matthew 26, and it's talking about when Jesus prayed in the garden with his disciples, and the disciples fell asleep while he prayed the first time, and then he went back, and they get to learn the story of how Jesus has a plan for me. He had a plan for his disciples, and so that he has a plan for us. And so this is their truck painting. And you can write anything. I just wrote our Jesus, our strong foundation. You could write our Bible verse. This is our motto for the week. You could write whatever you wanted to. But what's really awesome is that you get to use that paint again. It's this free art option. And you get to use the paint and the wheels to our little toy train. You can use your truck, a bulldozer, crane, whatever you have lying around. And you get your paint out again. And you just dip it all in the paint and you just roll it around all across your thing, your piece of paper. And so with that, that means that the kids get to just be free with their paint. So you might want to make sure that it's paint that can wash off, and also maybe find, I've used small trash bags and cut holes in them to use as smocks for them to use while they paint. Or if you have art smocks already at your church, that's awesome. You can use those too. Just something that might want to be covering them because they don't want to go home with paint on their clothes. So this is our prayer toolbox. My sweet friend Jenna made this for me. And it's super cute because they're able to really do whatever they want to, as long as you might want to write their name for them or give them some ideas on what to draw on their prayer toolbox. But the tool template is still in the back of this book, and so is our little construction worker. But you can just make it into whatever. You don't have to necessarily have the little tool handle that I made out of construction paper, but if you wanted to do that, that'd be awesome. Or you could even cut these manila envelopes in half and use them and fold them in half so you can make them smaller. And so you're a little bit more cost efficient on buying the manila folders. This is probably the most expensive craft that I used out of all the ones that I've shown you for the days 1 through 5, just because these manila envelopes get kind of crazy, but they're not super expensive, and you can find them anywhere at Walmart or Amazon or whatever you find for however many students you have. And so what they get to do though is that they get to put their prayer requests in this toolbox. And I know for me, whenever I go back to look at my prayer journals in my own personal life to see what God has answered and how he's answered me, I know that it's an amazing opportunity for me to remember how good God is and what he's done for me. And so it's awesome for pre-K students and kindergarten to get to experience that before they become an adult, is to just understand and know that God hears our prayers no matter what, and that he always answers them with an answer of his own. It may not be the answer that we choose, but he's always got our best interest at heart, and he's always there for us, just exactly like our point is for today. So this is our cute little prayer toolbox. So day 4 is our foundation of promise, and it comes from Matthew 28, and it talks about how Jesus made a promise and how when he was resurrected from the tomb, he told his disciples that he would come back and that he was always with them. And so this point for today is that Jesus is always with me. And so we have, for our first thing, we have our sticker city. And our sticker city is really just made out of Post-its. And you can draw whatever, they can use whatever they want to build their own buildings. I made a church steeple and a couple of other different things. And you might have to get your leaders to help them creating how to make a city. But even if they just wanted to draw on construction paper as a free art, you don't necessarily even have to have Post-it notes, but just to have a city of something to do so that they can see the windows and the doors and whatever they want to draw, just to give them some opportunity to be able to just do some free art.
Go.
So this is our next craft for day 4, and it is called Construct a Puzzle. And so what you'll do is you'll have your craft sticks. You can get the really thick ones or you can get the thinner ones like this. And the students will be able to draw either themselves or maybe even a picture of Jesus, just to remind them that Jesus loves them and Jesus is always with them. So what you'll do is you'll actually tape the back of these, and that way it's easier for them to draw on. And so when they're done drawing, you can even take off the tape. You'll take off the tape and you'll get to be able to shuffle these all into a puzzle, so they'll be able to recreate the puzzle even at their desk. And it keeps them busy, not only just busy here, but even something to do at home, which is super exciting. And so they get to decorate whichever way they want to, and it's just another fun thing to do to give them something to do and to even have a puzzle to take home. Now, this is our sandpaper art. You're going to find a little bit of sandpaper. It doesn't have to be very big at all. This is the size that we used for ours as well. And what they'll do is they'll draw something or someone that is alive, because Jesus rose from the grave and he's alive today. And so we drew a flower out of crayon onto our sandpaper. And what you'll do is you'll place it on a piece of white paper. And you can use an iron, you can use something warm, whatever you can find, to press that onto the white paper so that the crayon wax melts onto the white paper. And it turns out to be our flower. This one didn't completely go on straight, but it was really exciting because it just made contact with it and was able to put it right back on there. So this is our sandpaper art. Last but not least, we have day 5, and it's our foundation for life. And the story comes from Matthew 7, and it's about the house on the rock. You know, the wise man builds his house upon the rock, and the foolish man builds his house upon the sand. It's one of Jesus's parables that he told to the people, and it's just one of my favorite stories because, one, I think of the children's song, Between the House and the Rains Came Tumbling Down, but also the kids will be able to really understand that our foundation has to be strong for us to continue living our lives for Jesus. Jesus has to be our foundation because he is the strongest. Jesus, our strong foundation, is our motto. And so if we remember the house on the rock, our strong foundation, then they're able to remember that Jesus is the only foundation that we need. And so for our first craft for day 5, it's called Shape a Building. It's our free art. And what you'll do is you'll be able to cut out some pieces of construction paper to be able to let them assemble the house whichever way they want to. So I just did some windows and even just a small roof just for them to know. And then they can even draw trees and grass and whatever else they want. Even if you wanted to create a chimney, then that would be cool too. And that would just be a perfect free art for them to be able to place and even glue with glue sticks if you felt like using those, to glue that onto another piece of construction paper for them to be able to keep.
Go.
So this is our Wise Builder photo frame. And this has to do, obviously, with our wise man who built his house upon the rock. And so that's why it's called Wise Builder. And this template is in the back of your book, or you could even order the craft kits off the Lifeway website. To me personally, this is more cost efficient to be able to print it and maybe for them to even color in. I know that they're not the most perfect artists and colorers, but it's really awesome for them to have some ownership in this and to not just put the craft kit together unless you really wanted to and you wanted to be able to do several crafts in one day. And what you'll do is we colored our house and even wrote Jesus is my foundation on the bottom. And what you can do even is print out pictures throughout of your group through the week. and use a picture for them to be able to take it home and to be able to put it on their wall or their door or to be able to keep for a really long time. It's just a really cute memory to have for as long as they have this piece of paper to remind them about VBS 2020 and how Jesus is our strong foundation. Last but not least, we have our paper bag house. I used construction paper, but you can use white paper and they can draw whatever they want for windows or their roof, for their doors or their flowers. And they're just able, if you wanted to, you can even put some rocks in the bottom of this for them to be able to keep it standing, because you know there's rocks everywhere all around Arkansas. And so they're able to just put these all together on their paper sack that you can use. Super cost efficient, super easy. Just another thing for them to be able to create on their own without having to have a lot of instruction or a lot of like time for them to be watched to make sure that, you know, they're not gluing something together. It's just really fun for them to be able to draw and make a house out of their own paper bag.
Go.
So don't forget, whenever you get this book, it is your lifesaver. It has all of these templates in the back of your tools and other options for the houses and things that we made throughout each day. But also, if you have a lot of younger ones and you just are too overwhelmed to choose something, this awesome book also has coloring sheets for every single day. And that might be what you want to come in and start out with. After their worship rally and they're trying to get settled down before lesson, you might want to just sit them down and let them color their sheets so that they can learn more about what the story is about to become, or even after your lesson if you feel like that's what they should do. It's just awesome to be able to have specific coloring sheets each and every day for them to use. And also don't forget that there are several different crafts for you to pick out throughout all of these. And you get to pick the one that's most cost efficient for you. Some of you may have no budget. Some of you may have thousands of dollars to be able to use on VBS. But we want you to make sure that you feel equipped and not overwhelmed, and that it's a really easy process. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I also have a PDF file to be able to email to people if they'd like to have it, of the cost of each individual item that I used for some of these, and even some of the ones that I didn't use in the videos. I was able to make different lists of what would be cheaper if you were to buy it on Amazon or even at Hobby Lobby. So you can price compare and you can decide on what works best for you and your church. So yeah, make sure to keep up with this book, and we're so excited. Enjoy your Concrete and Cranes experience.